How you doing, everybody? This next Jet podcast is a rather interesting one. It's going to show Joe Benigno. He was a co-host or a guest on The Fan. He's a big Jets fan. He actually shared some personal text messages that him and Robert Saleh had, the coach of the Jets. Of course, there was a big fallout from that. Then I have the recording from Joe Benigno apologizing on the Boomer and Gio show. It's a little gets a little heated to say the least, and it's very interesting. And then, of course, me and my buddy Ed will discuss all these shenanigans that are going on. Lots of Jet news, a lot of big headlines, a lot of things happening with the Jets. None of them good, but interesting nonetheless. So I hope you enjoy it.
Now, let me just go back, and I'm going to say this because it's out there. I text the coach. He texted me the other day and gave me a litany of head coaches and what their record is without their quarterback and with their quarterback. Okay? I'm like going like Zach Taylor, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay. We go right on down the line, okay? By the way, Mike Tomlin's the only one that has a winning record when he doesn't have Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
Okay? All right?
But who's his guy? Aaron Rodgers? Because for the first 2 years he was here, his guy was Zach Wilson.
Well,
so we don't count that as his record?
Right. I mean, I hate to bring this up, but this is I'm telling you, I got like a 2-page litany of all these coaches and what their record is without their real quarterback.
Yeah, the problem is it's crap. His real quarterback for the first 2 years was Zach Wilson. They didn't win.
But I think what he is saying without saying it
is I need Aaron Rodgers.
No.
What's he saying then?
He's saying Zach's not the guy.
Right.
That's what he's saying.
He don't like Zach. I can tell you right now he don't like Zach. He don't like Zach because I'll tell you this. So when I did this 6-part thing that I put out there today, okay, and one of them, I listed them too, like by number, okay? And one of number 2 was him getting involved in the play calling.
Right.
I did put that. Number 3, I said you got to go back to Zach. So he texts me back, and I mean he might get mad at me for this, but I don't care. He texts me back and he says, Joe, about number 3. Which was playing Wilson.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Well, I don't know if I blowtorched.
You blowtorched him. No, you 100% blowtorched him.
Okay, if that's what you want to say. All right.
That's what I believe.
First of all, total misinterpretation by me of what he said. Okay, all right, I was wrong about that. What basically he was saying was, all this time you've been killing Zach, and you want him benched. And now you wanted me to play him? Okay? So that's basically what it was. So, I was wrong about that, totally misinterpreted it, that he didn't like Zach. That's my bad, my fault, and that's the story. So,
yeah, and that's what
now you know how it feels to be a Jet head coach because you're getting hammered out there because you basically misinterpreted everything he told you in private.
Well, look, I mean, I wouldn't call me hammering him, okay? I mean, you think I'm sitting there hammering him? Is that what I'm doing?
Well, no. I mean, I think what it comes down to is that there's a difference between hammering a guy and saying that he's a bad coach and then putting stuff like this out here. I think the blowtorching that Boomer is referring to is the fact that, one, you're sharing text messages that you've had with Rob Saleh when they're at the lowest point of the season on the air at WFAN. That's one. And two, you're now giving out an opinion that you thought Rob Saleh had that he didn't have. Like, if you're Rob Saleh, you're like, what in the effing hell is going on here?
Well, look, I was wrong. I admit it. I mean, I'm on here talking to you now telling you that. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else you want me to say about it.
Well, no, I'm glad that you called up and have told us that side, because I actually said prior to that I do think you had misinterpreted what Rob was saying. But first off, let's say you were right about what Rob was saying.
Okay.
To put that out there, don't you think that paints him in a horrible corner? I mean,
look. It was a bad job by me. I'm not going to say it any other way. Shouldn't have done it. I certainly didn't think that I was, throwing him under the bus. I'll say that, but either way you want to interpret it. But
Joe, hold on.
I mean,
Joe,
listen. I was wrong about it. I am fortunate enough to be able to go back and forth with him on a regular basis.
All right, hold on, Joe. Let's go back. When you say you don't think you're throwing him under the bus, now, let's just say, as me back in the day, I'm producing Joe and Evan.
Right.
And you loved Evan every single minute that you worked together. But let's just say one day you told me you didn't like Evan.
Right.
And then I had an overnight show. And I just said, I'm going to tell you right now, Joe doesn't like Evan.
Right.
Is that throwing you under the bus?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's what you did to Rob Saleh yesterday. That's my point.
All right. Well, then, what do you want me to say? If you said, then I'm not going to defend. I defended myself in the way that I have to. I mean, what else do you want me to say?
Okay, all right. I understand. It sounds like
I shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
He certainly, look, I don't know what his real relationship is with Zach. I don't know. I mean, I'm not there. I'm not in the locker room. I have no idea. But I completely misinterpreted what he said.
You think, or the last question I have, at least, is Boomer wants to ask something.
Yeah.
Do you think that you're going to have any communication with him going forward now about the team after what happened yesterday?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you'll probably have plenty of time to do that on the golf course because he's going to be out of a job.
Well, I don't think I disagree with that.
No, of course you do. I'm just telling you, you just outed him yesterday.
Well, how is it? Well,
I mean, like if you're the owner of the Jets and your head coach is dealing with a guy who's screaming on the radio and divulging that he texts with him every day, how does that make you feel if you are the owner of the New York Jets?
But wait a minute, you say I outed him? I mean, how outed him? How?
Joe, I just gave you the example of if it were you, because you were a public figure, not as big as Rob Saleh, but you were a public figure, and if you had told me something and we were friendly, and I went on the air and...
But I'm just telling you that I misinterpreted completely.
No, that's not the point. Let's just say you did interpret it right. Let's say, for example, just for a hyper...
I get it.
You put that out there. That is outing what he thinks about his quarterback.
Okay.
And if you're Zach Wilson, you're like, wait a second. Like, and I understand you misinterpreted, but let's say it was true. You're Zach Wilson, like, wait a second. This guy's had my back publicly. He talks to me face to face, and he's got my back, all this stuff. But he's texting this guy on the radio that he doesn't like me? Like, what? You can lose the lot. That is what Boomer means by outing him.
I see.
All right? Okay. That's all. So... I just, and the fact that he wants to, like, Joe, I don't want this to come across as disrespect to you, so just understand that. But the fact that he wants to continue texting you about the team after this makes him look like a stone-cold moron. If he didn't learn his lesson this time around, and he's still going to go back and talk to you about the team, then he shouldn't be the head coach, because that is idiotic. Because I can't even imagine the stuff that he heard yesterday from people. Like, you think we're talking about your phone blowing up? Like Boomer said, his phone probably melted into a pile of plastic yesterday with all the crap that he heard.
All right. Well, look, I mean, I guess only time will tell. All right?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, what else do you want me to say?
No, nothing. No, I mean, listen, you did.
There's nothing else I can say. Obviously, I made a mistake here, something I shouldn't have done. Totally misinterpreted it, and what can I do about it now? Not much.
All right. Well, no. What you did actually was I think what you can do about it now is what you did, which is understand that what happened. That's all. So at least we understand that you understand now. So now we can move on with an understanding. So very good, Joe. Have a great rest of your day.
All right, guys.
All right.
See you.
All right. All the love. There he goes.
What's up, everybody? We're back. It's been a couple of weeks. I had a little vacation time going on and keeping a little busy. A lot of things have happened in the last couple of weeks. I'm not even know what week when. Are we in week 13? I don't even know. 12. Yeah. Anyway, regardless, I think it is week 13. A lot of stuff has happened. I mean, even today, we just got done watching the Joe Benigno debacle, which I guess we'll start with there. And it's just interesting. First of all, the Jet news, even though they're not winning, is just, to me, it's off the charts. I mean, it's on every sports platform. Even I mean, it's just bizarre. And I mean, between this quarterback situation, Joe Benigno, Ed, what do you think?
Well, first, for our fans around the world, we need to explain who Joe Benigno is, right? Some of our fans,
That's true.
all corners of the earth might not know. Joe Benigno was a host of a local sports radio station, right, WFAN, and he retired, right? But he's always been a lifelong Jet fan, and he calls in now fairly regularly, actually, on a afternoon drive time show, and he had some interesting things to say. I believe it was on Monday, right, Dave? When he
Yeah, he has a Monday spot, and he's a very, very big Jets fan. And not too long prior to this, he had a blowout with Tiki Barber, who's a retired Giants player, who's a host on one of the fan shows. And Tiki Barber actually got up and left the set. So Joe Benigno's been ruffling some feathers lately. But basically, as we would have seen. He's Benigno is basically kind of buddies with Saleh, and they share text messages. They've been
daily,
golfing.
apparently. Every day they're exchanging texts.
Yeah, because he's such a big Jet fan, Saleh kind of took him under his wing, and it's kind of friendly with him. And unfortunately, Joe made the big mistake, which he apologized for and realizes he did, of sharing some confidential information and text messages that kind of put Coach Saleh in a very bad light.
It
And
was
then, of
terrible.
course,
I was shocked to hear that. I mean, it was apparently right there. If I remember correctly, he gave like a 6-point plan to Saleh on how to fix the Jets, and one of those points was to start Zach Wilson again. And I think at that point, Saleh responded that, "Are you kidding me?" But he meant it in because he's been telling him to bench him all year, and now he's letting him to start again. That's what the "you kidding me" was. "Are you kidding me?" text was from Saleh to Benigno, but Benigno on the radio station read the text.
Yeah, he didn't clarify. He didn't clarify at the time at all. And yeah, it was pretty. It's just crazy news what's going on with these Jets. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And now with also today, all in one day, Timmy Boyle is sent packing.
On the game on Sunday, cleaning out your 2 games in a row he was starting, and then Sunday he's starting. Today he's cleaning out his locker and saying his goodbyes.
Yeah, and this is Tuesday night, and as far as I did my research, Coach Saleh has not been back on for a press conference. I'm sure he will be tomorrow. He has yet to name a starting quarterback, but I mean, it's got to be Zach Wilson at this point.
Unless you believe the other report that came out, Dave, that's saying that Zach Wilson was reluctant to to get back in there.
So that's the third thing now. I mean, that's at least 3 things that happen all within like a 48-hour span. The Jet news has just been off the charts lately. What do you think? What is your take on that? I mean, obviously, with the smoke this fire, something had to happen in order for this. And the fact that Saleh had a one-on-one meeting with Zach Wilson, something definitely happened with this here. So Ed, explain to them exactly what happened with the Zach Wilson situation.
Well, there was a report that came out that said Zach was that they were that they wanted him to start on Sunday's game, and he was reluctant to go back in there. I mean that's very odd. I mean, the starting quarterback, he was his number 2 draft pick. He was, he started, after Aaron Rodgers went down. We obviously started here. He was a Jets hope for the future a couple of years ago, right? And now he's refusing to go back, or not refusing, reluctant to go back in. If you believe that report. Right. I think someone came out and said that's not true. He says, "Give me the ball, I want to play." So we have 2 conflicting stories on what actually happened. There's another story that came out, Dave. I'm not sure if you heard about this one. There was, and I actually saw this scene on the sidelines. There was one scene late in the game where Aaron Rodgers was standing next to Zach Wilson, and he said something to Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson responded and had like a smirk on his face. And it's
right.
I think there was. People are saying, I'm going to actually look it up as we're talking, but he was saying something along the lines, "Can you believe this shit?" And he goes, "Yeah, I can't believe this," or something along those lines. Literally saying that was what was Aaron Rodgers was saying to Zach Wilson on the sidelines. But let's see if we can figure that one out too.
Well, I tell you, Ed, what we're talking about here is really, really interesting because it's the game of telephone, it's a game of rumors, and so let's just say I could assume that Zach. Well, we can't assume anything. The thought could be that Zach Wilson said, "I don't want to play, for you guys because I know I'm getting traded and I want to stay healthy." The other thing is maybe his agent made that known to somebody. So we don't know. Like I said, with the smoke this fire, something was definitely said. Now, on the Aaron Rodgers front, because I try to watch as much of this on social media as I can, including the Pat McAfee show where Rodgers is always a guest on there. Rodgers claims he can't remember exactly what he said to Zach Wilson, but they did play it back for him. And, of course, it could be BSing. But Rodgers did just say that my microphone is up on my headset, so obviously the defense is on the field. So he's saying it could have been something about the defense, or it could have been something about the bogus calls that they were getting that day. Now, obviously, if he did say something like, "Look how bad these quarterbacks are, you're better than him," Aaron Rodgers is going to say that. But there's always, listen, we watch these press conferences. There's a lot of political responses constantly in which of course, you can't blame the coaches and players. They have to say these things. That was a tough team we played. We hope we do well. They can't really say what they honestly feel. We back the quarterback no matter who it is. They got to do all this politically correct
Of
stuff.
course, you got to do it. Exactly. It's
You
just,
know,
which just, it's. I hate to say it, Dave. It's almost, with the team imploding on the field, it's almost kind of fun to watch them imploding off the field as well.
you know something. I mean, shame on me, but I mean, it motivates me, keeps us going because it's like when they lose a game, you're like, oh boy, what's the press conference going to be like this time? And what are they going to say this time? And I'm at the point now where listen, I'm in a happy place now because it did take a few weeks of constantly believing this could be the week, this could be the week, and it just never happened. And now maybe 2 3 weeks ago, I finally realized. And I might have told you this. I'm not sure if we have this on one of our podcasts here, but after the Giant game, I believe I said I don't know if the Jets are going to win a game for the rest of the season, and because I mean, I still feel that way. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, I keep thinking like, did you see that phenomenal game last night with the Cincinnati Bengals?
I was amazed at how the backup for Cincinnati came in and played a phenomenal game.
I mean, there were, of course.
I think Trevor Lawrence's replacement, he came in for as well, and you're like, wow, this is what what I was sadly, Dave, I was like, this is what an NFL game should be, not what I watch every Sunday with
But
the Jets.
it's every single quarterback except for the ones that the Jets have on their team. It's second string quarterbacks, third string quarterbacks, first round draft picks, or players playing for their first few games.
It makes
It's
you
got to
wonder.
be something. It's got to be something to it.
It's is it the line? Is it everything? The receivers other than Garrett Wilson? Is it just because there's no answer other than Garrett Wilson? I mean, Lazard.
And listen, Ed, I've been saying it, and like I says, I can't be a Zach Wilson fan because he hasn't done shit on the field. I get it, but I still take a little bit of pleasure in saying, I guess it's not Zach Wilson. And I said that last year when Mike White came in, he played one spectacular game. I said that last year when Flacco came in and they still couldn't really win. But here's the deal, and I'm going to say this right now. It's almost like a guarantee. I'm going to tell you right now, Aaron Rodgers will not play a full season of football without getting hurt. That's my first prediction. And number two, I'd be shocked if this team scored 30 points on Aaron Rodgers in the state it's in now. I think if he does play, maybe they'll be a 500 team at best.
The line is a disaster. You have one starter from opening day of a line that was suspected opening day, right? Laken Tomlinson.
Yeah.
You have plays people out of position. I think Tippmann is snapping now, right? He's a guard by nature, right? You have tight ends have been non-existent for the most part, right? And other than Garrett Wilson, what do you have? And Hall hasn't been up to par this year. I mean, it's just the offense has been a disaster for almost every position.
It has been, and there are teams that were forced to run the football. Example, the Giants when they first put out Tommy DeVito, they still rushed the ball. Even though they knew, so there were teams that, and even the old Jets with Sanchez, when they knew that we had to run the ball, and every team knew they're going to run the football, and they still ran the football successfully.
That was the line on that. And also, you know what else is so I think I'm done with Saleh as well. They're not disciplined. How many penalties do you see on that team?
Yeah. Eddie, let me just tell you one thing before I forget. My train of thought with the Saleh situation, as you're saying that, the other thing that happened with Joe Benigno was he said Saleh. He started off the whole thing about Saleh giving him a whole list of NFL coaches who aren't succeeding because they don't have their quarterback playing, like they have a backup quarterback playing, or it wasn't their, whatever the original starter, for whatever reason, and of course that backfired because Tiki Barber was basically saying, well, that's not a good excuse because he had his guy for the first 2 years and he still couldn't win. So I mean, he really threw some stuff out there that he really shouldn't have said. Personal information that makes Saleh look really bad.
I think why that might be his demise, Saleh, because if I own the Jets, I don't know if I want him texting all the time with this knucklehead Benigno. I mean,
I mean, listen, it's almost like it's got to be like an unwritten rule on understanding. Like if you have a famous person is taking confidence in you.
Yes, I said
you
gotta
know,
they don't divulge those conversations.
I mean, that has to be a special bond that that's so important to you that you would never do anything to make that fall to risk it, to risk having somebody angry at you. So I mean, like the Saleh situation with Joe Benigno, with Timmy Boyle getting bounced out of here, with Zach Wilson not wanting to play. Like you said, Ed, this is super interesting, and it definitely, it's definitely a little. I don't want to say it's fun to watch, but it is entertaining.
It's like a car accident. You can't
Yeah.
stop. You can't stop listening. You can't stop watching. What's interesting too is some reporters were saying, was it last week or the game before that? What's interesting about the Jets is that you would think that there would be this kind of divide between the defense and the offense, because the defense plays their hearts out every week, and
Right.
they said this. They said that in the locker room they were still pretty much
Yeah.
on this, on the same page, and they were supporting each other. So I'm curious if that's going to start to fade as well. If the
Yeah.
defense is going to start turning on the
Yeah.
offense, we see some fights and some divisions in the locker room which we haven't heard about yet.
Yeah, well, I don't believe that for a second, Ed. I'm sure, of course, we know that they're for, no matter, even if there was fights in the locker room, they'd be forced to say, "Oh no, we're getting along just fine."
So Benigno would be talking about it.
Yeah. If Saleh would have told them that would have been out there already. But yeah, I'm sure they're frustrated. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And like I said, poor Garrett Wilson. Listen, I tell you right now, the first chance they get, I know we have a few years with them, unless things change. Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall are going to be getting out of here as quick as they can. Believe me, you know.
I agree. Yeah, I mean,
and so I mean,
they want to produce. You want to produce. Want to get paid, you got to produce. You're not produced on the Jets because you can't. The offense is inept.
And what happened to Breece Hall? I mean, is it just? I don't know. I just hate using these excuses because it's just too many excuses, and I see other teams doing fine. I see second string quarterbacks jumping into the fray and going for 80 yards and scoring touchdowns. Like I said, at this point, it's got to be coaching. It's got to be offensive coordinator. And I mean, we might have discussed this before, but I will tell you right now, I'll get your opinion. I want to see Aaron Rodgers play, no matter what the situation is, because I want to see what I have to look forward to next year. What do you think about that?
He's not. I would be shocked if you see him on the field this year. Why would you risk that at this point when he was playing for nothing, basically?
Yeah. So I'm glad we have a difference of opinion.
Like that too. You want to get him killed again? I mean, he might get his head get chopped. His head might get popped off if he's out there again now.
Now that's good because now we're going to see what happens because I feel that he's so cocky and confident that he went through all this rehab, and I think he's not going to be ready to play and say, "Hey, I'm not going to play. I'll just wait till next year." I just feel he just wants to prove a point to everybody and get on the field. And of course, other people have said it. I'm not a doctor either, but so what if he gets hurt now? He has like 9 months to recover, So that's another factor too.
The Jets I would be shocked if the Jets higher ups, the ownership, the GM Douglas would let him play.
Yeah.
Nothing at this point. When he came back, he had, he's old. He had this, it's not experimental surgery, this new surgery that lets it heal quicker, right? That they were talking about. Let him come back quicker, but there's no reason to.
Yeah.
Because what would happen if he comes back and he ruptures his other Achilles tendon on that turf?
Well, that's what they were saying. They were saying it's no big deal because he has twice as long to recover this time in the off season. That's the theory. But however,
at his age, you can't.
I mean, I'll walk it back a little bit. I mean, the Jets are not officially mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. So, like you said, next 2 games or so before Aaron Rodgers intends to come back.
Literally have so many teams ahead of Dave. It's not. It's.
They said it's 1% chance, but I mean,
Buffalo is 6-6, Cincinnati 6-6. So we're not catching those teams. We're not.
But it's 2 games. It's 2 games in the loss column. So that's why Listen, it'd be funny if they win this week, which I don't think they will, or for the rest of the season. But then those talks will start picking up again. And the big question is, who's going to quarterback this week? I can't. Oh no, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
This guy Ripien right today. They signed another quarterback today. You can't throw him in there. I mean,
no, that's what I'm saying. He definitely can't play. And here's the other situation: Saleh had to tell Zach Wilson, even if he's not starting, he's a number 2 quarterback. And that alone could have had Zach Wilson saying, "Wait a minute, I'm assuming I'm cut. I'm not gonna him or his people saying, I don't want to be number 2 quarterback even because I don't want to go in there if Simeon gets hurt because I'm not going to be on this team next year and I don't want to get chance it." So that could have been the discussion too. Like at least Saleh probably would have had to tell him he's got to be number 2 quarterback. I mean that's right. I mean there's no doubt about that. So.
Yeah, you can't have a guy Ripien be number 2, and it's just literally he's not going to start practice. His first practice is going to be tomorrow. I mean, the Jets are off on every team's off on Tuesday. His first practice is going to be. He might even be. He has to get a physical. He might even be able to practice till Thursday, perhaps.
Yeah.
I don't see what his Has he even been officially signed, or is that still kind of just like the rumor? The rumor.
I think I think he's signed. He is signed actually. 'Cause I actually did a Wikipedia on him, and they actually have him listed as a Jets quarterback as a third. Yeah, but I know people type that stuff in, but you know, but yeah, I mean, like I said, that this is like it's definitely way more interesting than waiting for the results of the game because we assume they're going to lose. So everything else is interesting. Is Saleh going to get fired? What's going to happen with Zach Wilson? Who's quarterback in this Sunday? You know, what's Aaron Rodgers going to do? It's everything about the Jets turmoil and not really so much about them, winning or losing. That's a losing is a given. So.
What else you might have too? One thing we haven't even talked about, Dave, is just long term with this team. Is you have the defense, all this great defense, which everyone agrees is still playing well.
Yeah,
you guys might want to get the heck out of here and say I can't be around this team anymore.
But
those good starters, you might lose them. Those some of the guys as well.
Listen. Everybody's going to want to jump ship, but I mean, here's the question. I mean, until we see Aaron Rodgers on the field, if and when. I mean, how many quarterbacks we'll just say under Saleh, and I mean, how many quarterbacks do we have to see that seem like they can't play football at all? At all. And I'm talking about even Mike White just having that one game. I'm talking about Super Bowl MVP Joe Flacco. I mean, every single person they put in there couldn't do anything. Nobody had a good game really, except for that one game, like I said, with Mike White against the Bears, and that was it. So when that happens, you got to say it can't be the quarterbacks,
It's not even Saleh because he doesn't even wear headphones when the offense is on the field. He doesn't do anything with the offense. He's a defensive guy. Right? It's his coordinators, and it's what they put in, right? Because he doesn't even do anything when it comes to the offense. Which is always interesting. You ever see that? I always like that when the offense, when Zach Wilson gets sacked, or something bad happens, and you see Saleh on the sidelines. He looks like a spectator because he's got Aaron Rodgers got the headphones on, but not Saleh when the offense is on the field, and he's just sitting there like a schmuck.
Yeah.
A dopey look on his face. Scared this week? Not scared this week?
It's going to be crazy. But even if Zach Wilson does start this week, that's a crazy story too. I mean, was benched like 3 times or whatever, 4 times.
You went from being the second quarterback to the starting quarterback to the third quarterback. Now you're starting. Yeah. In one season this year.
Like I said, just to watch other teams like our crosstown rivals, the Giants with Tommy DeVito, and to see what the Bengals did last night with that guy, what's his name, Browning, I think his name was, and the backup quarterback for even for the Jaguars didn't look too shabby.
He did well. He played well. We're
going to see the quarterback for the Texans, rookie quarterback. He's a sensation. So yeah, it's just. We don't even have anybody who can pass for 200 yards and a touchdown or two out of all this group of people. So I'm saying this sarcastically and I'm laughing about it. I can't wait to see Aaron Rodgers go in there and move the ball up and down the field. I dare him to. I can't believe it. And that's going to be, I don't know what you feel about that, but I can't even imagine in my wildest dreams that he gets on the field and the Jets have 3 or 4 80-yard drives with him. I just can't picture it.
I can't picture it. I've never been, Dave. I get excited. We get a first down. I mean,
just think about it, Ed. When he steps on the field, they're going to be blitzing every single chance they get. I mean,
I would send the house every time and just totally another Achilles.
He's gonna have to play his first game, the entire game from the shotgun formation on every pass play. That's for sure. He can get out quick enough too, but that's what he's gonna have to do. But it's gonna be interesting, like I said. So we'll see what happens Sunday. I mean, we really can't make too many predictions yet. I mean, first of all, whether it's Simeon or Zach Wilson, we don't expect them to win. We don't expect them to win because Houston has a pretty good offense. Even though the Jet defense is good, they're faltering a little bit. I think they get a little annoyed, like you says, with this whole, working their tails off.
They get 13 points and they still lose. And not only 13 points, but 7 of those points came on a fumble from Dalvin Cook. I mean,
and the safeties, the defense scores 2 points.
How much better? How much can you more expect? They have 13 points, and 7 of those were a turnover from. It was a point off a turnover.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. So we'll see what happens. Like I says, there's more news to be heard, especially by tomorrow. And like I said, we'll see how it goes. But it's good to have you back. And this is like as the world turns, that old soap opera.
Days of funny T-shirt that with the Jets. It said someone was wearing it. It's not an official shirt, but it said New York Jets rebuilding since 1969. I thought it was pretty funny.
Oh, that's a good one to get. That might be good. That might be good.
And the season, JETS just end the season. I like that rebuilding since 1969. That was
yeah, that's pretty much the deal. So, all right, so we'll see how it goes. And maybe next week we'll get back on here again. And like I said, there's plenty to talk about now because there are all kinds of crazy shits happening.
There's more talk about what's going on off the field and on the field, which is sad. But in this season, it takes a little of the sting away from
Well, this is the Jet fan thing, as you know, Ed. It's a very exciting off season, and it's a very exciting debacle, whatever, infested regular season. So, yeah. All right. Like I said, we'll get together next week, and we'll see what the news is going to be tomorrow. Who's the starting quarterback is, and we'll see if they can squeeze out a win and keep things going. All right, Ed. Be well.
Thanks, Dave. You as well.
All right.